What's up, everybody? I'm going to go ahead and start inviting some folks in. So, if y'all can bear with me a moment, I'm going to get into today. I want to talk about actually the movie, The Banker. I'm going to talk about my 10 takeaways from the movie The Banker. If you have not watched this movie, I suggest that you do go and watch it. It is an excellent movie, brought to you by Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie that star in it, and also Nia Long. I want to give a shout out to Nia Long as well in this movie. They do an excellent job along with the rest of the cast, but those were the main characters of the movie. It's actually on Apple Plus. So if you have a Apple phone, if you have a smartphone, you will be able to watch it actually through your phone or through your TV as well. So I suggest that you put that on your list of movies to actually watch, because I think it's some great information that I got from the movie. So I think that others can do the same if you have already watched it, and if you haven't, then hopefully you will get something great from it, because I think it teaches us a whole lot. And this is one of the stories that I had not known about, that I thought was excellent. Information to be able to give to us once again about our history and about those things that we didn't know that actually were true life, real life, and it happened to be able to give us some insight into some of the things that happen, because this story actually takes place, or the gentleman from the movie, actually, Joe Morris and Bernard Anthony Mackie's character, Bernard Garrett, was Anthony Mackie's character in the movie. So it happened in the early to mid 1960s. So this is actually not too far from from us and everything. So, but it was a great movie, and I just got a couple more people, and then I'm going to actually get into what I wanted to talk about, my 10 takeaways from the movie The Banker. So let me find one more person, and then I'm gonna go from there. Then I'm gonna get into this because I really enjoyed this movie, and I hope that for those that have not watched it, that you all will actually take the time to watch it too, because I think you'll get a great lesson out of it. So, hey Fran, hey Bruce, I see y'all. What's up? But today I'm doing my 10 takeaways that I got from the movie The Banker, and of course this is from an entrepreneurial perspective, and then also being an author as well. I love a great story. Love the way that a story is put together. The story was well put together. It gives you some lessons that you can really learn from, business wise, personally wise, and then it also talks about the struggle that that was happening all the way in, even as far as soon as far back as the 1960s. The mid to early to mid 1960s was when all of this happened. I think 68 was I think when everything had actually when they had gotten sentenced and everything like that. So it was relevant to those of us that were born in the in the 60s. So my 10 takeaways are this, and I'm gonna start from this, and I'm also give tips that go along with this. So want to say what's up to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you all get something out of this. Give you some knowledge, some information, resources that are beneficial to you, because my mission is to enlighten, empower, and impact others to make you better, after this encounter, after this live, than you were before. Give you some information, just things that you can think about, talk about, that you can use, strategies that you can use as an entrepreneur with your businesses, especially right now, because I wanted to make sure that I tied all of that into currently what we're going through, and just some techniques and things that actually they did in back then that we can actually use now that are relevant to this situation. So my first takeaway that I got was know your numbers. Anthony Mackie's character, which was Bernard Garrett, he actually he was he was a guy that was great at numbers. He was great at numbers. And it came from when he was early and he started listening to what the folks that were around him were talking about. And they were talking about banking stuff, but they were talking about numbers. And he had a clear understanding of what kind of numbers and formulas were. So it's important for you as an entrepreneur, as a business person, to know your numbers. You want to know your numbers inside and out. And I don't know how many of you have ever watched the show Shark Tank. One of the things that the investors that they will ask them are their numbers. So it's key for you to be able to know and understand your numbers and what they mean. Because what Anthony Mackie's character did was he took the knowledge that he learned and he knew about banking, that he had gotten from banking, and he actually taught the young man that was going to represent them in front of other people. He taught him how to do it. It was almost like being in a math class because he was talking about the language of bankers, the information, how different formulas worked, and how to be able to do different things. So it's important for you to know your numbers. That's the importance of having a business plan. The business plan will allow you and give you the ability to be able to know your numbers, to be able to know what it is that you're talking about. Because you can't be sitting across from the table in a business deal and somebody asks you about certain things and you aren't familiar with it and you don't understand it. So you want to always make sure that you know your numbers. And even if for whatever reason you might get audited, you might get questioned about certain things, you always want to make sure that you know your numbers. That's vitally important. So understanding those numbers so that you can articulate what it is that you're doing with your business to someone else so that they can understand it, especially an investor, because an investor is going to go through your financials with a fine tooth comb. So you want to be able to do that. And with Anthony Mackie's character, what he had the gentleman to understand was how to be able to make certain deals happen. And in understanding the numbers, he was able to tell the gentleman about certain things that were going to happen in the meeting. And he didn't even have to be in there because he knew what certain numbers were going to say to the potential investor, the potential seller. So he was able to articulate that to the gentleman that he was training so that he could understand what was going to happen in the meeting because of the very numbers that he was going to be able to come out with. And Anthony Mackie studied he studied all of the deals that he was looking to make, the purchases that he was making, the sales that he was making as a entrepreneur, buying different buildings, buying different properties, and even when they went to buy the bank. And I don't want to tell you all this whole story, but even when they were going to buy the bank, there had to be certain loans that they were trying to get. The loans had to be structured in such a certain way. So he had to make sure that the numbers were known in order to be able to complete and do things that he wanted to do because he wanted to keep them aboard. So that's the first takeaway that I got. Always know your numbers. As an entrepreneur, know your numbers, know your business backwards and forwards. You should know it in your sleep. You should be able to visualize telling someone about your business without even looking at without even having necessarily the numbers sitting right in front of you. You should be able to know them that well. So that's the first tip, and know your numbers. Second thing is be strategic. Being strategic, they were strategic. Him and Samuel Jackson, which was his partner in this movie. His name was Joe Morris. What they were strategic about the properties that they bought and about the moves that they were making. So as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you understand the moves that you make and understand where you are and where you're trying to get to. You have to have a plan. In order to be able to be strategic, you got to sit down and have a plan. It's not about just having a vision, but it's also about having a black print for where it is and what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what you want to accomplish. Because if you don't have a strategy, you'll find yourself just kind of going along, moving along, trying to just trying to just react to things happening versus making things happen. When you make things happen, you put yourself in a position where you can do what it is that you want to do versus doing what someone else wants you to do. So understand that. So be strategic. Every move that they made, it's what I call playing chess versus playing checkers. Those that play chess understand that every move that you make is a part of your strategy. So you have to understand what this move, what this, not just the next move that you're making, but two moves down, what that is going to mean, what that is going to do. So you want to make sure that you are strategic in what you're doing and not just understand the next move you're making, but understand where the next two moves are going to take you, because where it is that you're trying to get to, you need to already know the moves that you need to make. Okay, I need to make this move to get here, which is going to then take me to here, which is then going to take me to here. And each move should move you closer and closer to your overall vision that you have for where it is that you're trying to go. And that's what they did in the movie. They were strategic about building their business that they had together, their partnerships and the investments that they were making. One investment led to another investment, which led to another investment, which led to another investment, and each one got a little bigger. And that's how they were actually able to build to the point where they were able to even think about buying the banks. So you got to be strategic. Number 3, learn the game. Can somebody put that in the comments there? Hashtag learn the game. One of the biggest things that we need to do as entrepreneurs and as Black entrepreneurs is learn the game. Understand what it is that the game requires. There are going to be certain laws, that mean laws that you need to know about. There are going to be certain things, areas that you have to understand about. Everything must be, you must understand about the game that you're playing. Whatever industry that you are in, understand that particular industry backwards and forwards. Understand how the game is played. Learn. Be observant. I will say that. Be observant. Be observant of those who are already in the industry and who may be where it is that you're trying to get to. I'm going to say that again. You want to observe those who are already where it is that you're trying to get to, because they will show you, and you can either try to build a relationship with them and they may share certain information with you, or you can just be very observant. Be in those places that have to deal with where it is that you're trying to get to. Because when you learn the game, learn how people play the game, then you can actually do the game. And one of the things in the movie was that Samuel Jackson's character told the young guy that they were teaching, that they were grooming to be able to go and be the face of their company. He told him the first thing that you're going to have to learn how to do is play golf. And that's what I mean by playing the game. He said, because if you were going to make the deals, Samuel Jackson knew that deals were being made on the golf course. And he told him that you not only have to learn the game, but you have to be an expert at the game. You've got to know it backwards and forwards. You've got to be able to talk the language. You've got to be able to understand how those individuals think. You've got to be able to understand how they talk, their mannerisms. All of those things are part of learning the game. So you got to learn the game. You got to understand what it's going to take in order to be able to be successful in your particular industry. So when you can do that, when you can understand that, what it's going to take in order to be able to be in the game, because first you got to get in the game. Then you have to understand what it takes to get in the game. But then you also got to understand how to be able to win at the game. And the only way that you do that is by being observant, by listening to what they say, the things that are said, the things that are done, and so that you can then take notes and be able to say, wow, this is how they handled that. And this is what this movie actually is showing me too. And the other movie that I talked about, Self-Made, it actually shows you, these movies have given me the ability to be able to see how certain people acted in certain situations. how how Joe Morris and Bernard Garrett, how they acted in certain situations, how Madam C.J. Walker, how she handled certain situations back then. You know, you're talking the early 1900s for Madam C.J. Walker. You're talking the 1960s for the characters in The Banker and how they handled those situations that they were put in, because they were under very, very, very hard circumstances. So it wasn't easy for them. It's somewhat easier for us today because we have access to a little more, but they actually dealt with a lot more issues than I think that we deal with today. Our ability to be able to not have to deal with issues actually is because of these very two these characters that were in this movie that made it easier. Madam C.J. Walker made it a lot easier for women, or she put to the forefront issues that women that needed to be addressed for women. She put women in the forefront, showed women that they can be successful in business, that they can become women in the boardroom, that they deserved a seat at the table. That's what she brought. And in The Banker, their mission was to give access to capital, give access to capital to those individuals that would not ordinarily have access to capital, meaning minorities, black people, and their focus was black people in the black community. They wanted to be able to give black owners, business owners back then, the opportunity to be able to get loans, to be able to create wealth, which I thought was great. That was their mission. He talked about that in the movie. That was their mission, and their message. Their mission and their message was to let black people know that that there were black-owned banks that they could go to be able to get loans when the other banks weren't giving them access to that kind of capital and that kind of ability to be able to build wealth. So that's learning the game. Number 4 is be aware. Be aware. There's always somebody out there that will try and create and facilitate your demise. In this movie, I'm not going to tell y'all, told you I'm not going to tell y'all the movie, but there will always be your haters. You're always going to have your haters. Can somebody say haters for me? Somebody say hashtag haters. You will have haters that will see you being successful, becoming successful, building something, and they will want to knock you down. A lot of folks want to call it the crabs in the barrel syndrome. You'll have that going on. Yes, that was going on in The Banker. Yes, that was going on in the Self-Made movie. You're always going to have someone's who will try to make you fall because they don't want to see you succeed. No different in this particular movie. So you have to be aware and cognizant of those people who for whatever reason may not want to see you succeed. And when you're careful and you're aware of them, then you can be careful about the moves that you do make. You can actually be cognizant of the things that you do, because you have to make sure that all your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, to make sure that the things are done right, and not give them the reason to be able to bring you down. And once again, in this movie, there's a hater. There's a hater. There's a hater. There's a hater, and that hater went after these two black bankers, black business owners, black entrepreneurs, just for the mere fact that they were black men purchasing a bank, trying to purchase a bank in Texas, and he did not want that to happen. So what did he do? He instituted the reasoning behind them faltering. So be aware, watch out for your haters. That's number 4. Number 5, check all the details. In the being aware, you got to check all the details. You got to be able to check all the details. You got to be able to go through whether it's any legal documents, whether you're any deals that you're going to be making, any structures, policies, procedures that you put into place as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You want to make sure that you go through the details so that You protect your brand. I'm always big on protecting your brand. You want to make sure that you are protected. That's the biggest thing. As an entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you, your business, your brand, that you are always protecting those three things. Whatever you do, when you're looking at a deal, when you're looking at getting, building relationships and stuff like that, you always want to make sure that at the end of the day, that you're protecting you, your business, and your brand. Again, in the movie The Banker, they had to they had to make sure that they were protecting their assets that they have. And when you don't protect your assets, things can happen. And you'll see when you watch The Banker, if you haven't watched it already, you'll see the things that can happen when you don't protect your brand, when you don't protect your business, when you don't protect you. Those things can happen. So that's number 5. Check all the details. Number 6, create your niche. What I mean by that? What I mean by that, creating your niche, is find the thing within your industry that will differentiate you from everybody else. Because all of you in your particular industry are doing the same thing. Whether it's, you have a particular product, you have a particular service in that particular industry. That's going to be the same, but what you want to do is differentiate how you sell it, how you package it, how you maneuver it, those things that will differentiate you from everybody else. What I loved about Anthony Mackie's character in this movie, Bernard Garrett, was he saw a particular market that was untapped. I'm going to say that again. He saw a particular market that was untapped. And he knew, or he thought, that there would be a way, if he could cater to that particular market, there was the ability to be able to have a successful business by doing that. And at the same time, like I said, going back to his mission, giving the mission that he had was to give access to capital to people who would not ordinarily have it, because he saw that there was a need that needed to be filled. And that's all entrepreneurship is. That's all what having a business is filling a need that you see, being the answer to a problem, to someone's problem. He was the answer to blacks in the early 60s not having access to capital. And he wanted to be that answer for them. And he knew it not just have access to capital, but in certain neighborhoods where we did not have access. We didn't have access to those particular neighborhoods. We didn't have access to capital. And he wanted to bring that to the table to them. And one of the things that he did do in this movie, once they were able to purchase the one bank, he actually went to the community, went to the leaders of that community and said, hey, we are the new owners of this particular bank. We're looking for these particular kinds of people to be able to give them access to capital, whether it's business owners, whether it was homeowners, all of those types of individuals that were going to be in that area that he could give access to capital for. So you have to be able to find your niche. And he found his niche. He understood what their need was. He understood what the answer was to their problem that they had. So you want to find your niche. Number 7, build your process. What's your process that you have in your business in order to be able to get you from point A to point B? And that's from the initial introduction that you may have of meeting someone, a potential client or customer, or a relationship that you're trying to build, all the way through and beyond meeting their particular need, whether it's them buying a particular product, whether it's them using a particular service that you have. What is your process? One of the biggest things that I've learned in watching Shark Tank and watching actually The Prophet, that's been the biggest one that I've watched, the show The Prophet, because he talks about people, product, and process. What's the process that you have is just important as the people that you have in place and the product that you have. When you have those things in conjunction with each other, then you're able to be successful because you're building a blueprint for if and when you're not there. And right now, with us being kind of quarantined and being where we can only do business through through digitally, through whether it's through the phone by talking with someone, through someone buying something off of your website, what those particular kind of ways, what process do you have now developed in order for to be able to take people from being able to buy your product? And if you don't have a process, this is the perfect opportunity, the perfect time to build that process. Build that process if you don't already have it. Or if you need to take a look at it, if it needs some tweaking, then you want to tweak that process and see what you can do. Because since you can't do the face-to-face right now, you might have to tweak it in order to be able to do it through your website, through doing Facebook Lives, or doing transactions through digitally, where it's just done through however you make your payments, through invoices, through PayPal, through Cash App, all of those different kinds of ways, YouTube, all of those different kinds of ways that you can now take people through buying your products and services. What way is it that you can actually use now that will be beneficial for you, since one of those particular means has been have to be adjusted right now. So it's how quickly you can adjust to that. So that's the builder process. Build value. How are you building value in your business right now? One of the things that they did in this movie, they build value by the purchasing of different properties. They knew by purchasing certain properties, they were going to be able to build a certain amount of wealth, which put them in the position to be able to even think about buying the first bank. So you've got to think strategically about that. How do you build your value? What is it that what product or service can you add to what you already have that will enable you to be able to build value? And one of the things that I tell my clients is, in building value, look at the clients that you already have, look at the customers that you already have, and see what are the needs that you can meet within them. And they may even tell you. You may even discover this by just listening to them and what they tell you, what they say to you, what they need from you. Because you may provide this, this, and this, but they also need this, this, and this. So now if you add the other products that you didn't have before, because you've seen a number of your clients that need that particular product or service, then what you do is you add another stream to your bottom line. Add additional income to your bottom line. So take a look at the products and services that you offer right now, and then see how you can actually build them into other needs that you can meet with the clients that you already have, and then that will actually in turn bring you other customers. So that's how you build value. That's how you build value in your brand. That's how you build value in your business. That's how you grow your business. I think most people will probably try and call it scaling, but I call it building value. Building value in your brand, building value in what it is that you do. Hopefully, this is one of the things that I'm doing right now by doing something like this, is building value in my brain. Because I'm doing something like this, I'm giving people knowledge, I'm giving people information that they ordinarily would not have if they had not tuned in to me. Hopefully you all will like and share this with other people so that they can gain something from it as well. And that's how you build value. You build value by giving people access to knowledge, information, resources that they would not have. That's what you do. People see the value in you. People see the value in your assets, in what it is that you're bringing to the table. So that's how you build value. That's number 8. Number 9, underutilized capital. One of the things that I mentioned before that Anthony Mackie's character, Bernard Garrett, talked about was finding that niche. He saw that there was a underutilized capital that was available to him and his partner in this movie. He had a tapped community. There was communities, pockets. There were communities that had value, that had capital, but nobody was utilizing them. Nobody didn't, people didn't see the value in them, but he saw the value in them and what they could bring to the table. He saw that they had money that they wanted to spend or that they could have in their particular banks that would allow them to be able to build what it is that they were trying to build. So take a look at your business right now. This is a perfect opportune time to take a look at your business and see what is being underutilized capital in your business. I don't care if it's a book that you can create. You know, you can create a book. See this? You can create a book. You can create a book. You can create a workbook. You can create a curriculum. A lot of people have done that too. Those are things that you can do in order to be able to build or make use of the underutilized capital that you have, whether it's here, whether it's in what it is that you can bring to someone else. What is it that you're underutilizing that can create the capital for you, that can bring in money for you? And that's one of the things that Anthony Mackie's character did. He saw the value in what the folks in the black community had to be able to offer. And he wanted to be able to utilize that. So you should be able to do the same thing in utilizing your business, looking at your business, seeing what things are you underutilizing in your business that can bring you capital, that can give you additional income. So that's number 9. And number 10, don't overextend yourself. Don't overextend yourself. That means don't try to get too big, too fast, too soon. Because when you do that, you will actually wind up doing more damage to you, your business, and your brand. You'll do damage to you because you'll be overworked and not being able to handle any of the extra work that you're taking on. You won't be able to handle it. It'll be too much for you, and then you'll damage your brand because you won't be able to satisfy or meet the needs of the particular customers that you're trying to take on. So you don't want to do that, because then when you start to do that and not be able to meet the needs of those customers that you have, what will happen is they will start to talk about you, won't they? They'll start to say, well, I tried to connect with them and they didn't get back to me about this. I tried to do this particular deal didn't work out because they didn't follow up with me about this. They didn't have, we were supposed to meet on such and such a date, and they didn't even show up, or they would, they kept rescheduling. Whatever the circumstance is, where you find yourself, where you don't want to find yourself overextending yourself. I always tell entrepreneurs that you want to strategically grow your business, because when you strategically grow your business, you're able to handle the next level that you get to. And as you get bigger, you're able to bring on more people to be able to assist you in what you've already built. But you don't want to do it too fast, and you don't want to have the mindset that I can do everything, or I have to do everything. So you want to be strategic about it. And one of I'll give you 2 examples of that, other than the banker, because they were strategic about about the buildings that they bought. They would look at the properties. They would look at whether or not those particular deals were good deals for them. And you got to look at that. Where's this particular deal going to put us after we go through with it? Do the numbers look right? That's why you got to know your numbers. You've got to know the game. You got to understand what it is that you're trying to build and be strategic about it. So that's what's going to allow you to be able to grow strategically and put yourself in a position where you can, where you can grow successfully, grow your brand successfully, grow your business successfully, bring on the right people, instead of trying to rush and put things together. And then you wind up making the wrong move, doing the wrong thing, and you wind up faltering. You wind up losing the business. You wind up making a mistake that can cost you and your business and your brand, or even your partners. Where if you have one person that wants to go fast, one wants to go slow, or strategic in it, then it can hinder you as well. But you got to make sure that you are growing at a sustainable pace. Remember, growing a business, growing a brand, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And anyone who knows anything about running a marathon, anyone that knows about running a sprint, there's two totally different strategies for running those two ways of running. A sprinter does not train like a marathon runner. I'm going to say that again. A sprinter does not run the same way as a marathon runner. They don't train the same. There's two different mindsets, two different ways of being able to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. So by not extending yourself, a sprinter is not going to extend himself in a certain kind of way or herself in a certain kind of way, just like a marathon runner is not going to extend themselves in a certain kind of way, because they know they have a longer time frame that they have to endure versus a sprinter who has a shorter time frame that they have to endure. So you want to be strategic about it. So to sum it up, and I'm gonna end with this, I'm gonna go back over these 10 my 10 takeaways from the movie The Banker. Number 1 was know your numbers, and if somebody wants to write these in there, you can. Know your numbers. Number 2, be strategic. Number 3, learn the game. Number 4, be aware. Number 5, check all of the details. Number 6, create your niche. Number 7, build your process. Number 8, build value. Number 9, underutilized capital. And number 10, don't overextend yourself. So those are my 10 takeaways from the movie The Banker. Like I said, if you haven't watched it, I encourage you to go watch it. It's on Apple Plus. And actually, Anthony Mackie was a producer on the movie, and Samuel L. Jackson was an executive producer on the movie. So that's where we're trying, as I hope that a lot of people will pay attention to that. That hopefully more of us are starting getting into those that are in Hollywood or in entertainment. They will understand and get more into the executive producing movies, being writers, so that they control the content. And now that there are more platforms that can be used in order to be able to get those messages out there, you can do that. And that's the same thing. So, and my last thing before I let y'all go, and I'll say this, the 4 things that I hope that people will get when it comes to being an entrepreneur, when it comes to running your business, is these 4 things. Ask yourself these 4 questions when you're doing your business. What is your mission? What is your message? What is the movement that you're creating? And then what's your motivation? What's your mission? What's your message? The movement that you're getting behind, or that you want people to galvanize behind, and then what is the motivation behind it. So it's your boy, Leroy McKenzie Jr. I thank y'all for tuning in. This is 2020. Fast and furious, y'all. Move with purpose and passion. And as I always say, chase the impact, because when you chase the impact, you change the world. It's your boy, Leroy McKenzie, and I am the Impact Chaser. We'll talk to y'all soon.